Everybody, welcome to another episode of the Caregiver and Spoonie blog, where pretty much I talk about my life and everything that has transpired for me to become the person that I am today, and also how I've been able to improve. And like you already know, my name is Jordan Banderas. But real quick here, I wanted to remind you that don't forget to subscribe. That way you don't miss any new episodes, because the episodes are getting better. We're getting to the point where I was diagnosed with PTSD, and today we're gonna be talking about that. So in the previous episode, I think I talked about how my wife became ill, and then how pretty much we had to work together to everything. Well, I mentioned that my wife had to be hospitalized multiple times, and I think I did this on the podcast. But yes, my wife had to be hospitalized multiple times because of her anxiety and depression. Her medications were not working, so she had to be sent to the mental health hospital multiple times. But here's what happened in one of these situations. My wife, due to an advice from a friend, my wife and I decided to buy a safe and put all of her prescriptions in there, because she takes a lot of prescriptions. And when I say a lot, I'm talking like a lot. She takes like over 20 pills. I will say almost 30 pills a day. And this is because she needs them. That's the problem. And probably I'm going to be talking about that on the podcast. But if you need to take your medicine, take it. You might take like 50 pills. You might take 100 pills. But if it's helping you and you know that it's helping you, keep taking it. But anyway, so my wife takes a lot of pills. So we decided to buy this safe, so we could put all of her pills in there, because it's like I was like, well, we can't just keep everything outside. Why if you lose it? Why if somebody steals it? Well, what happened for this particular story is that my wife had to be taken to the hospital. And because she had to be taken to the hospital because she was having a bad mental breakdown, or another mental health challenge, or a bad episode, she was taken to the hospital. She had to stay there for a few days. When I came home from work, because I was at work, she called me. She's like, I'm gonna be taken to the hospital. I'm like, okay, be safe, everything. Well, she didn't lock the safe, which is not her fault. I mean, when you gotta go, you gotta go. You know, like, you have to go to the hospital. You have to go to the hospital. And she was taken via ambulance. So the paramedics were not going to be like, oh, let's make sure that you get everything done. You know, like, that's not going to happen. So she left the safe open. And when this happened, like I said, I was at work. So I came home. I see that the safe is still open, and I'm like, okay, she must have left it open. I closed it. She was in the hospital probably for like a week, or almost a week, something like that. So she gets out. She tells me like, oh, they asked me if I needed more medication, but I know that I have them at home, like medication for sleeping and anxiety and all of that. And you probably still have them. So she didn't get a new refill or anything like that. So we get home, and she starts pulling out all her medications, and she couldn't find one particular medication that she needed. And I was like, what? I when she said that, it's like, hey, do you know where this medicine is? I'm like, no. And she's all like, I can't find it. We looked everywhere. And I'm like, well, when I came home, the safe was open. And she's like, oh, I left it open. And we know who did it. I'm not gonna name that person because it's not worth it. That person is no longer alive, so it's not really like worth it to talk about that particular person. But so this person went into our home, or went into our place in this situation, and stole my wife's medication. And the thing is that in order for my wife to get a new refill, we had to wait like 14 to 21 days. So it was pretty much new. It was a brand new medication. So for this many days, I can't remember right now. It was between 14 to 21. It was over 10 days. my wife didn't take this medication. She had just gotten out of the hospital, and she told him like, I don't need a new medication. I have them at home. So she wasn't able to take this medication that was helping her. So her condition deteriorated because she wasn't able to take this medication that was helping her. I was so stressed because, like I mentioned on the previous episode, everything changed for us. I was so stressed. I was like freaking out because I was like, okay, what will happen if she doesn't take this medication? And I researched it, and because of what this medication do, I'm not gonna get into too much detail because that's for my wife to share, not me. Without taking this medication, at one point my wife could have died. That's what happens. So when I realized that and how it was affecting my wife, I got angry. There was so much anger inside of me, I got angry. I snapped. I made a conscious decision that, because it wasn't unconsciously or anything like that. I was conscious when I said this to myself. If my wife dies because of this person stealing her medication, I will literally kill that person. Like, I don't care. I was ready to kill that person. Like, I wasn't gonna mess around. I was like, you, because of you, my wife died, I'm gonna kill you. But I waited because I was like, in my mind, I was like, I can't do anything right now because there's still the part where Katie could have got better, you know, like maybe she was able to work through it until she got a new refill. But I was freaking out. Inside of me, I was freaking out. I was mad. Like, the only way to put it is like something snapped in my mind because I felt that snap. I felt that anger, all those feelings that were buried from like childhood, they came out. I was mad. I say this, like, I was going to, if something would happen to my wife, I would end up in jail because I was going to kill that person. I was going to kill it. And I repeat it again because looking back, I was like, I was going to kill that person. I was planning murder. Like, I'm not joking. I even told this to my wife after she got her medication. I was like, you know, when this happened, I was going to kill the person that stole your medication if something would have happened to you. Like, if you would have died, that person would have died. I was that angry. But during this process, during these few days that my wife was waiting to get a new refill on her prescription, I was mad. Like, I felt like this darkness, like I was in a dark place. I never felt that darkness ever. Like, I felt like all of this anger and all of this like pent up frustration and everything like covered me. Like, it was like the weirdest thing. Like, it covered me. And I was like, oh, I'm going to kill that person. I'm going to kill that person. I'm going to kill it this way. And I had already planned how to kill that person. The way that I was going to kill that person, it was in a way that was going to create as much pain as possible. Because I felt that pain. I was like, my wife is going to die. If my wife dies, I'm going to feel so much pain. So I'm going to project that pain into this person that is causing me this pain. And in a moment of clarity, and I say this because it was in a moment of clarity, I asked myself, are you willing to kill somebody? And without hesitation, the answer was yes. And then after I said yes, one of the things that happened is that I started having flashbacks from when I was beat up as a kid by my mom, from when I saw pretty much everything that I have talked on the previous episodes. I started having all these flashbacks. And then somehow, I don't even remember, but I don't even know how it happened. I was like, I'm surrounded by all this darkness. all of this darkness is covering my mind. I only see darkness. I see hate. I see anger. I see all of these feelings, and then all these memories keep coming back. And me and my wife got in an argument at one point, and I saw my instead of seeing my wife, I saw my mom. And my mom, like I have mentioned, she's very aggressive. So I was ready to snap, and I was like, hold on. My mom is not here. I'm with my wife. And that's when I say, like, hey, something's wrong. Something is really wrong, because I'm having flashbacks. And I told her what happened. Like, I was able to open up to her. I'm like, I'm having all these flashbacks. This is what happened. I saw you as my mom and was ready to snap in a very bad way. I'm like, I need help. I broke down, literally, and I was like, I need help. Something's wrong. And then I explained her, like, this is what I was going to do. Like, when she got her medication, it's like, this is what I was going to do. I was going to kill the person that stole your medication, because if you would have died, I would have felt that pain, and I was going to project that pain. So, this is the point where I went to get help. Like, she found me a good therapist. My wife found me a good therapist. And I decided to work through all of my issues, because I was like, this is PTSD. And then I was diagnosed with PTSD. So I was like, oh my gosh. I almost let my feelings take over. I almost killed somebody. Like, I don't know. Like, the only way to describe it is like, I was surrounded by all of this darkness, and I couldn't see the light. I really couldn't see the light. And I remember saying this to myself, is like, okay, I'm surrounded by all this darkness. All of these things are going on in my mind. Like, all of this anger and everything. So if I can't see the light, I have to become the light. And I just remember, like, thinking, like, I am the light. And then I, like, in my mind, this is just how I saw it. This is the only way that I can describe it. In my mind, I saw myself like literally like glowing on this darkness. Like, I started to glow on this darkness. So that's pretty much what started my journey into therapy and self-discovery, self-awareness. And then I'm gonna talk about, probably in the next episode, about how therapy helped me. But I know that a lot of people, especially for men though, we suffer a lot of PTSD or trauma from childhood, because of the way that we were raised, because of something somebody said. Like I have mentioned before, like if you were raised a certain way where you're not allowed to do certain things, but you're curious, and then you get in trouble for doing things that you're not supposed to do, you're gonna resent that, because you still want to do it. You're gonna resent yourself and be like, oh, I'm dumb, or I'm an outcast, or things like that. So when you grow as an adult, all that pain, like I have mentioned before, all those feelings, you lock them away, but they're still there. That box full of feelings is going to open at one point, and then you're going to snap, because there's going to be all that anger. There's going to be all everything that you have held inside. And I think that's what happened to me. Like, when I said that something snapped in my mind, it's like that box opened, that room opened, and all of these feelings came out. And I was in such stress mode, or I was like so angry at this person for stealing my wife's medications. I was like, I'm going to kill you. And I really meant it. Now I'm more self-aware, and I'm like, it's not worth it. Because this person is out of our lives. Like, this person is never going to ever do that again. And now we're more cautious as to where we leave my wife's medications when somebody is in the house. So we learn from that, you know. But a lot of things that happen, especially for men and women and kids and everything, is that we project our feelings, though. because we don't know um, how to express them, because we've been told either by our parents or by society or somebody that feelings pretty much are bad. Like, you cannot express your feelings. We don't have the words to express them, so we get mad, and then the first thing that comes out is anger. So we snap, we start yelling because we feel frustrated. This is how I feel. This is me. And I know that a lot of people feel the same way because I have talked to people about this. And we feel frustrated. We feel like we can't be ourselves. We don't have the words. We don't have a way to say, like, this is how I feel. So you're just gonna go to your to like a childhood instinct, your primal instinct, which is in this case like act up, like when you were a kid and you wanted attention, you will do something, and then they call it attention deficit disorder, and then put you in a pill, and then it's supposed to be fine. But it's not gonna be fine because you still have those feelings. That's the problem with medications, though. The feeling is still gonna be there, and at one point it's gonna come out. Like in my case, the way that I was asking for attention is by acting up in school. Never be quiet. I was never quiet in school. And I think I have mentioned this before, that my teachers put on my report cards that I talk too much. My mom didn't really do anything about it, and I don't blame it on her, because being a single mom is hard. Dealing with me is hard. So obviously I don't blame it on her. I just think that she wasn't like the best mom, but I forgave her. So what I'm trying to say in this situation is that don't let your feelings run you over and do something you're gonna regret. Because I almost did. I almost killed somebody because I was letting my feelings like get out of hand. I was lucky enough, and this doesn't happen very often. You will see it on the news. You see it in a lot of things. Probably somebody that snapped and did something really, really bad in the heat of the moment. Like, it happens. But that's because we don't know how to express our feelings, or we don't know what to feel. So we've been told, like, don't feel sad. So instead of feeling sad, we're going to feel angry because you're feeling sad, and you were told as a kid that, I'm talking about myself, I don't know about you, but I'm talking about myself. Like, as a kid, it's like, you don't need to feel sad. You don't need to feel this. Well, if I'm feeling it, and the people that I respect tell me, like, oh, you're not supposed to feel like that. So I'm going to feel in my mind, I'm going to feel like I'm doing something wrong. And what happens when you do something wrong? You get mad at yourself. So you're going to get mad at yourself, and then you're going to project that anger. That's what was happening to me. I know a lot of people do this, like in this situation, in this story that I'm telling, when my wife's pills were stolen, I was ready to kill somebody. And I say it without any hesitation because now I'm doing better. Like, I'm not gonna kill anybody or anything like that. But it was pretty scary. That's when I knew that there was something wrong. And one of the things that I want to tell you, if you're listening to this, if you get mad, if you're not able to control your feelings, or you don't know exactly how to express them, one of the things that I have done, and I'm going to mention this, and I have mentioned this a lot, therapy helped me. Therapy could help you. If you don't want to go to therapy, that's fine. Like I have mentioned before, there's a deck of cards that they sell on Amazon. I don't exactly remember what it's called because I've been looking for it as well. But it's a deck of cards with feelings on it. It has the name of all the feelings. It has, for example, anger, and it tells you, like, if you feel like this, then this is anger. Or sadness. If you feel like this, then this is sadness. Anguish and things like that. So that's how I learned. That's how I was able to start learning how I feel. Like, those feelings are legit. And because I was able to learn how to express my feelings, I'm better at doing that. Yesterday, actually, I expressed my wife exactly how I feel about her, like how much I love her, because I was never able to put it on words. for me it was more like action, but I finally put it on words, and I think that's what happened to me when I had this episode of anger. Like I couldn't put it into words, so I was like, I'm just gonna react. It was like a reaction instead. We tend to do that. We tend to react to our feelings, like, oh, I feel sad, I'm gonna cry, but then you don't know exactly why you're crying. Or I feel angry, I'm gonna get angry, but you don't know exactly why you're feeling angry. So that's what happened to me. That's what happens to a lot of people. And I know that together, by telling our stories, this is why I tell my story. And I don't care what anybody thinks about me. I don't care what anybody says about me. By telling my story, I know that people can relate to this and be like, maybe that's what's happening to me, especially with men. Because like right now, because of the pandemic, domestic violence has gone up, and I talk about this. I think I don't remember if it was on the blog or on the podcast, but domestic violence has gone up, and probably it's because obviously there's a lot of stress, especially if you lost your job. But that's not an excuse to mistreat your kids or your partner, because I can tell you this. This is from my experience. If you're able to talk about your feelings and your partner they don't have to say anything. My wife, when I says I want to talk about how I feel, she just listens. She just listens to me, and that's the best part, because she just listens and then acknowledges. So I feel that a lot of the domestic violence is like a reaction from our feelings, because we feel stressed. We don't know exactly how to react, so we go into our primal instinct. Like I was told as a kid that I was never stressed, that I shouldn't be stressed, that I have a good life, so I feel mad. And then, for example, if your partner or your kid is being disrespectful or is acting up because they're dealing with this situation in a different way than you, then you get mad, and then you get snappy. You can unfortunately get too angry and then do something you don't want to do. You just react to your feelings. But I'm not saying that this is an excuse for domestic violence. What I'm saying is that we can stop it. We can stop domestic violence, or a lot of violence that happens in the household. We can end this cycle so the next generation can do better than our generation or the previous generation. So that's why I wanted to share this. I hope you're still enjoying the episodes. I really like to talk about this because by telling my story, I already talk about this in therapy, but by telling all these stories again, I'm rediscovering things that I didn't feel in therapy. So it has helped me a lot, and I hope that this might help you. If you know somebody that needs to hear this, or that is suffering in some kind of way, you can share this with them. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. You know, we want to make this community, so we cannot make that happen without your help. Obviously, by sharing, subscribing, and following, and always commenting. Like I said, I want to get your feedback, because by getting feedback, and I have gotten a lot of feedback from people, I actually end up growing even more as a person. That's what I'm taking from this, and that's why I like to do this. So if you like everything you hear, keep following us, and remember, don't forget to share. And that's the story for today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for everything that you do as well. Remember, we can get through this together. We can work through this together. You don't have to go to therapy. You just need somebody to talk to. You might want to read one good book that I have read is The Love Language. There are a lot of books or a lot of literature about feelings and how to express them, so I recommend you to search that. And it doesn't matter if you're a man. Nobody needs to know what you're doing. So just do it if you feel like you want to do it. Don't do it just because. Do it because you want to. That's one thing that I do want to let you know. Do it because you want to. But I leave you with that. And I also leave you with this. Thank you for listening. And always take care of yourself and have a good day.